The first time I saw her, the sky tore open. A ship like a crown of obsidian and starlight descended over Nevada's scorched red desert, casting shadows that swallowed the sun. Every satellite feed went dead. Every radar blinked out. And yet, there she was, walking across the dust like gravity meant nothing to her. A woman, a queen. And somehow, she was looking for me. I didn't believe it at first. I thought she was some hallucination, born of isolation, another strange vision brought on by post-war trauma and too many years of silence. But she was real. Her skin shimmered like polished amethyst, glowing faintly with power and pain. Her eyes weren't eyes. They were galaxies spinning, ancient, and far too knowing for anything that called itself human. And still, she didn't speak to the generals or scientists. She didn't address Earth's leaders. She came to me, a broken former soldier hiding in a crumbling trailer park on the edge of nowhere. "You are not what I expected," she said that night, standing in the doorway of my one-room shack. Her voice vibrated low, like a storm about to break steady, but barely chained. "But I felt you before I saw you. You survived their fire, and still felt love. I should have run. I should have called someone, but I didn't." Maybe it was the way she said love, like it was the only thing in the universe she hadn't conquered. Or maybe it was because I hadn't felt anything in years, and suddenly, I did. "Why me?" I asked. She stepped closer. The air around her shimmered like heat distortion. "Because I sit on a throne forged from 1,000 conquests, built from suns and silence. But none of them ever whispered my name like you just did. And I had whispered her name without knowing it. It burned on my tongue before I ever heard it spoken." Her eyes softened, and she smiled like stars finally found warmth. Yes, 30 seconds in, I already knew the truth. This wasn't diplomacy. This wasn't politics. This was hunger. Ancient, sacred, dangerous hunger. And it wasn't for war. It was for touch. She didn't ask permission. Queens don't. Her fingers unzipped my worn jacket like she was peeling back centuries of grief. Her palm pressed over my heart, and her lips followed. She was fire, but her kiss was cold like something that hadn't been kissed in eons. She didn't know gentleness. But when I touched her waist, when I let my hand slide over the curves of an empire, she shivered. That's when I realized this goddess had never been held by anyone who didn't want to own her. But I didn't want her crown. I wanted the weight beneath it. And that night, she gave it in my bed, under thin sheets and the gaze of a broken moon. She stopped being Valkyrie, the conqueror. Her armor melted from her skin in soft waves of light. Glowing tattoos pulsed across her thighs, hips, and ribs, ancient language etched in need. And when I kissed each one, her legs trembled like tectonic plates. She gasped, and the stars above flickered. "My people will think me mad," she whispered, nails clawing into my back, hips rising to meet me. I kissed her neck, then let them go mad too. She rode me like she ruled galaxies, but when her breath caught and her body arched against mine, she wasn't royalty anymore. She was a woman, undone moaning, a name no one had ever made her say, mine. We didn't speak much after, just heavy breaths and her fingers tracing invisible maps across my chest. And when she finally fell asleep, her crown abandoned on the floor, her body wrapped in mine, I realized something terrifying. She wasn't staying for the night. She was staying for me. I awoke to the hum of something unnatural. Not a storm, not the crackle of desert wind. It was them, a low vibration in the bones like the sky holding its breath. I reached across the sheets. She was gone. For one agonizing moment, I thought I'd dreamed her. That Valkyrie, the queen of the Galactic Spire, had never laid her body in my bed. That her lips hadn't said my name like it was a secret older than time, but her scent was still on the sheets, violets and static, and the faint shimmer of her skin still glowed like moonlight on my chest. Then I saw the shadow outside. They didn't knock. They never knocked out the door. caved inward with a single hiss of pressure, and a figure stepped in tall, lean, and wrapped in jagged armor like black glass teeth. No face, just a mask of chrome and green light. Behind him, four, more weighted, silent, armed, unforgiving. She was here, he said. Not a question, a fact. I stood slowly. My bare feet hit the cold concrete like a man preparing to die. She's not anymore. The mask tilted. That is not acceptable. Another voice came from behind them. Female, cold and regal. You are correct. It is not. She stepped forward, radiant and infuriated. Not Valsarai, but close. Her sister, maybe, or her executioner. She broke every vow written in the Star Accord, left the throne, abandoned the Warfleet. And for what? Her eyes scanned my body, lips curling. For this, I didn't move. I didn't need to, because behind them, the air cracked. And then she was there. Valsarai descended like lightning. No ship, no sound, just presence. One moment I was about to be taken. The next every soldier in the room froze like statues beneath her voice. Touch him, she said softly, and I will end stars you haven't even named yet. The woman turned. You left us, sister, for a human. Valsarai stepped past me, naked but crowned in something far stronger than armor. I did not leave you. I walked away from a world that never gave me what I gave it. The woman scoffed. And what did you find here? Dirt? Weakness? Valsarai's gaze slid to me. Her fingers brushed mine, just once, like a promise slit. From within. No. I found something that didn't kneel when I entered the room. Something that held me. Not because I ruled, but because I ached. There it was. The confession that shattered everything. I saw it in the way the others shifted the tiny recoil. The queen had gone soft, they thought. Human hands had made her weak. But they didn't understand. I hadn't tamed her. I had awakened her. They moved. The first one raised a pulsar blade fast and ruthless. A trained killer. But she was faster. Valsarai's palm lit with burning silver, and in a flash of light, he was ash. The others drew weapons too slow. Her power roared through the room, collapsing walls, bending metal, and reducing Galactic. Soldiers too fractured whispers. Only her sister remained, trembling, eyes wide. Valsarai didn't strike her. She just stepped forward and whispered, "Go back. Tell the spire the queen has chosen her exile, and if they follow her again, they will not survive what love has made her become." Silence. The woman left. Not because she feared death, but because she saw the fire in Valsarai. Isand knew it wasn't war anymore. It was devotion. And that's far more dangerous. When it was over, the dust still hung in the air like regret. She turned to me slowly, her shoulders trembling. "I told you I was staying," she said, "but I didn't tell you what that meant." I touched her cheek, still warm from the storm. "Then tell me now." She sank to her knees before Manat, as a queen, not as a god, but as a woman undone. "It means I've made war for centuries, but I've never made love." And when I pulled her into me, heart to heart, soul to soul, I knew this wasn't the end of her reign. This was the beginning of ours. They came for me in the dark just before dawn, when the desert is cold enough to remind you that life is borrowed. No alarms, no sound, just the faint shimmer of air folding inward as a transport blinked into reality outside our cabin. I knew, even before they breached the door, that Valsarai wasn't here. She'd gone to the river to cleanse herself in the old ways. To pray, maybe. Or to remember the skin she used to wear before I pulled her into something softer than war. Something more terrifying. Love. I barely fought. One breath, a stun to the chest, and everything went black. When I woke, I was weightless, naked, floating in some kind of gravity nullifier cell. Around me, the chamber pulsed with violet light, biotech flesh and wire humming like a living heart. But it wasn't the ship that made me afraid. It was what I saw in the reflection across the translucent walls. Me. They weren't just taking me as a message. They were replicating me, mapping my neural synapses, my memories, my voice, my body. They were going to overwrite, mess over, would never know the difference. So she would lie beside a lie, because to them, she was a weapon lost to passion. And to control her again, they had to replace the thing she craved. They had to be me. But love doesn't replicate, it remembers. Across the stars, I felt it. A tug, not physical, not psychic. Something older. She'd told me once that her species mated, not just with their bodies but with their resonance, a frequency of truth, imprinted in the soul. And now, mine was screaming across light years. Valkyrie felt it. She came not with armies but alone. A single ship, a tear of silver and heat, slicing through the enemy fleet, like a lover scorned. Her voice flooded every frequency. "Return him," she said, "or I will burn the sky above your temples." They laughed until she started. One pulse, one thought, and her ship unfolded, not just a craft, but a living extension of her will. Wings of plasma carved moons in half. Satellites blinked out, like candles. And when they tried to run, space closed. She didn't want war. She wanted me. I saw her through the wall, as she tore through the final chamber. Her skin was glowing gold now, not violet. Her crown had fractured into tendrils of fire. She wasn't a queen anymore. She was a goddamn reckoning. When she saw me, her rage collapsed. She ran to the stasis cell, her hand pressed to the wall. "You're still you," she breathed, almost breaking. "They didn't erase you. Not yet," I said, "but they were going to." Her eyes lit with a kind of fear I'd never seen in her before. Not for herself. For me. For us. With a growl, she sliced the chamber open, caught me in her arms before I could fall, and then without a word, she kissed me like I was the last taste she'd ever get. A kiss that tasted like war and worship, like sorrow and salvation, like she'd finally realized what she couldn't lose. "I'm not letting them replace you," she whispered. "Not even once." "You came alone?" I asked. She nodded. "Because I didn't need an army to kill them. I only needed a reason." She carried me through fire and gravity storms like I was holy. Back to Earth. Back to the broken little bed where our story began. And that night, she didn't make love. Like a queen, she didn't ride me like a goddess. She held me, cried into my chest, traced every scar, whispered every word she was never allowed to say in the halls of power. "I'm not going back," she said, "even if it means exile. Even if the stars name me traitor." I kissed her shoulder, then let them scream. "I'll build a new galaxy with your name carved into every moon." She looked up, eyes wide, voice trembling. "Would you really?" I smiled. "I already am. Every time I touch you, you remember who you really are." She smiled. And when she rose over me again, hips rocking slow, breath shaking, voice low, she didn't moan like a queen. She pleaded like a woman finally allowed to want. "Don't stop. Don't let me forget this." I didn't, and I never will. It started with a fever, not the kind that breaks with water or sleep, but one that burns beneath, the skin like starlight trying to escape a human shell. My blood pulsed differently, brighter, heavier, like it was learning a new rhythm. Hers. At first, I thought it was just trauma, residual energy from whatever they did to me up there. Scan, duplicate, erase, fail. But Valkyrie knew better. She stared at me with trembling fingers and whispered, "They marked you, but not with harm, with possibility." In her arms, I felt it, a vibration deeper than desire, lower than breath. My heart didn't just beat for her anymore, it matched hers. Every pulse in sync, every breath chasing the next. Our skin would glow faintly when we touched, and when we kissed. Time bent. One night, I woke up gasping, not from pain but from the memory of stars I'd never seen. A solar battlefield. Her first conquest. I could feel it every cry, every decision, every life she spared when she was still learning mercy. I sat upright, drenched in sweat, whispering alien names I shouldn't have known. She was already beside me, silent, eyes full of dread and awe. "It's happening," she said, voice barely audible. "The bond is rewriting you." "What bond?" I asked. She hesitated. "The one only formed once every 1,000 years, when a sovereign gives her whole self, not just body, but essence." I looked down at my chest. The faint, shifting glyphs that once lived only on her hips now flickered across my ribs. Faint blue. "Alive. You mean, you gave me your soul?" She nodded. "And you didn't refuse it." The next day, I could see things I shouldn't have. Electric threads between trees. The way gravity curled around her when she walked. And when she kissed me again, this time in the old canyon beneath the stars, my body surged with something far beyond arousal. It was ascension. My hands gripped her hips, but I wasn't holding a woman. I was holding a bridge between galaxies. And in that moment, something inside me cracked open and the light from it nearly swallowed us both. We didn't just make love that night, we merged. Our bodies danced like binary, stars collapsing into one another. The sheets caught fire. The canyon floor trembled. And when she cried out, not in climax but transcendence, her voice echoed into the sky and didn't stop. It rode the wind, hit the ionosphere, and triggered a pulse only the spire could hear. A new sovereign had risen me. Not because I took her power, but because I earned it. Loved her without asking for anything in return. Worshipped her not for her throne, but for her sorrow. But now, they knew. The spire called it a violation, a forbidden union. "He is not of our blood," the council would hiss. "He is not born of the stars." But they were wrong, because when they scanned the skies again, there was a new signature. One they couldn't trace, one they couldn't stop. A hybrid signal, a fusion of queen and human. It echoed louder than war, brighter than any crown, and they were terrified. Valkyrie stood at the window that night, her body bare, her glow dimmed by worry. "They will come again. Not for you this time, but to erase the union." I stepped behind her, rested my hands on her waist, and kissed the space between her shoulders, the place her crown used to rest. "Then let them come." She turned slowly, eyes wide, heart pounding in sync with mine. "You don't understand what they'll do. They'll burn Earth, shatter it as punishment." I smiled softly. "Then I'll give them something bigger. To fear." Her breath caught. "What?" I took her hand and placed it over my heart. "The throne doesn't belong to blood. It belongs to the one who can change it." And in that quiet canyon cabin, as the stars gathered with judgment above, we didn't run, we prepared. She dressed me in light living armor from her world, woven in strands of devotion and rage. And as she stood before me, still naked, her body scarred from past wars, and lips still swollen from the night before, she said the one thing that made it all real. "You are not mine anymore," she whispered. "You are ours." I kissed her, slow and deep. "And now the stars will learn. A bed made of love is stronger than any empire." They came with legions, entire constellations, shifting from passive glow to battle formation. From Earth, the night sky looked fractured, crawling with spire ships shaped like blades and bones. They called it a reclamation, a purge, but it wasn't. It was fear in its purest form. Because deep in the system's heartbeat, they felt something impossible. A man, once human, now tethered to a queen by love, not dominance. Valkyrie stood beside me on the cliffs above the Mojave, wind dancing through her hair like starlight, spun into silk. Her skin pulsed gold beneath her armorless form, a naked declaration that she needed no defense. She wore only the truth now. The marks of our bond etched in glowing symbols across her thighs, her breasts, her collarbone, the same ones that now coiled around me. "They're afraid of what we became," I said, eyes fixed on the horizon, pulsing with warships. They should be, she murmured, reaching for me. Her hand slid down my chest, fingers pressing against the glyphs that shimmered where my heart had once simply beat human. Now, it sang in harmony with hers. She leaned in, her lips brushing my ear. "Let them see," she whispered. "Let them feel what I felt. That night I gave you my throne and begged for your body, and I knew what she meant. Aspire wasn't afraid of war. They lived in war, but they had no language for what we did in that bed. They had no shield against surrender, so we made them watch. Valsarai pulled me down with her into the grass. Under the open sky, where they hovered, where they listened, where they feared. Her body stretched beneath mine like a prayer, arms wide, mouth open in defiance and desire. "Make me yours again," she breathed, "so the stars remember why they lost me." I kissed her slowly, every inch, not like a man conquering a queen, but like a king learning how to worship. Her thighs wrapped around me, drawing me into her heat like gravity collapsing on itself. And when I slid inside her, flesh to flesh, pulse to pulse, our bond ignited. A tremor tore through the sky, a ripple of energy, a moan from her lips that echoed across radio frequencies. We were broadcasting our love, our climax, our war cry disguised as pleasure, and every ship above us, every general, every coward watching from behind glass and steel felt it. The moment her body arched and screamed my name, space bent, clouds split, engines failed, and the Spire knew it wasn't a weapon they feared. It was this, a woman who gave up everything, and a man who gave her something greater in return, himself. No crown, no battlefield, just a bed, just a bond. She clung to me after, her lips tracing my jaw, her body still trembling from aftershocks we both knew had triggered seismic readings across the solar system. "They can't fight this," she whispered. "No," I said, brushing hair from her face, "because this isn't war. This is love." A new signal flashed across the stars. Ours, a twin beacon in perfect frequency, announcing not an invasion, but a reign. One forged in sweat and softness, and gasps, and gifts no empire could ever command. The Spire ships did not fire, they fled. We stayed beneath the stars until morning, tangled in each other, soaked in light. No more queens, no more soldiers, just two people who refused to let the universe define them. And when she looked at me next, eyes glassy, mouth parted, hips still trembling from everything we shared, she said something I'd never heard from her before, not even in whispers. "Take it," she breathed. "The throne, my throne, our throne. I didn't need to sit on it. I already was it, because sometimes the most powerful thing in the universe isn't what you conquer, it's what you hold."